All right, everybody, welcome to the Return to Service podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heine, and today I'm joined by my brother, Greg Heine. He's the SVP of JSSI Maintenance Software. It's nice to finally meet you. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to put a face to the name.
So, all right, we'll both be at NBAA this year in about a month. So I wanted to get a quick rundown. Basically, what is JSSI? What do you guys do? I know you got some solid history there, and the business kind of expanded in the past 10 years. So I want to kind of cover that. I want to run through what you guys have been doing at Traxall, and then like I said, we'll both be at NBAA, so how people can get in touch with you. So let's start with JSSI.
Yeah, sure. So JSSI, this year we're celebrating our 35th anniversary. So the business was started in 1989. And for the last 30 years, really the core of our business, or I should say 35 years, the core of our business has been around hourly cost maintenance programs. And in the last 10 years, the business has really transformed quite a bit and has expanded beyond hourly cost maintenance programs. And we now have a substantial parts and leasing business. We have a software business. We have an advisory services business, as well as an aviation capital and financing business. And so it's gone from these maintenance programs to really a full ecosystem of products and services that allow us to support aircraft owners and operators kind of like throughout the life cycle of an aircraft.
Okay. And so from your perspective, where does Traxall kind of plug into that ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So when we look at like our software products in particular, one of our software products is Conklin and DeDecker, which has been around for a very long time. The product is used by aircraft owners, operators, and brokers to really identify aircraft that fit the mission profile, kind of fit their budget. And so we kind of look at that product as like early in that life cycle in helping those owners and operators find the right aircraft that fits their needs. When you look at our maintenance software business, which is comprised of Traxall as well as our Aviator product, kind of sits in the middle and allows owners and operators to keep track of all of the maintenance that's coming due on their aircraft, scheduled maintenance, unscheduled maintenance, and then really a lot of the things that are on the periphery of aircraft maintenance. So, inventory management, purchasing, document management. And one piece of it is making sure that our customers are compliant and are following all the regulations and that their aircraft is airworthy. The other piece of it is really asset preservation and making sure that when they go to sell their aircraft, that all the maintenance has been kept up with. There's records of it, and it really smooths out that process for selling an aircraft.
Okay. And so that's like at the core of tracking the asset. When you go to sell it, you have all those records. It's a solid protection piece of it. But
sure,
another aspect, like we see it with EBIS too, is the implementation of technology and using some of these workflows. What are some of the main, when you start working with customers, right? What are some of the main challenges they're dealing with, and what are some of the primary ways that you guys help solve those and make things easier, more efficient? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think we look at it through two different lenses. One is from pure technology and product, and the second is through the service that we provide. Looking at the service, we have an incredible analyst team that really stands behind our product and our customers, and we really see that as like an extension of their flight department, making sure that their data is accurate, making sure that they're following the latest schedules from the OEMs or the different regulatory authorities. And so service is a big component of it for us. when you look at the product side, I think that, Traxall is continuing, and JSSI and Traxall continuing to invest in new technology to really evolve these day-to-day processes and how people look at maintenance tracking. And you still look at a lot of operations are still pretty paper heavy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, there's still a lot of printing, there's filling out of work cards, there's, duplication. I complete the work over here, and now I, go and open up a Word document and create a logbook entry and print that and sign
Yeah.
that. It's kind of the, I've told this story for the last like 15 years since I've been in the industry, that like, it's paper heavy. There's a lot of duplication of work. And really, we're looking at the Traxall product as a way to significantly streamline those processes, make them electronic, kind of build in a lot of that, validation and data accuracy into the process, and give customers really tools that allow them to be more intelligent about maintenance planning and execution, giving them, dashboards and customizable reporting that allow them to really use the product to suit the needs of their operation. And as we continue to go on, and kind of what you'll see at base this year, we're continuing to evolve that product. We listen to our customers. We kind of really take a deep look into their operation to see, where is that duplication happening? Where are those, roadblocks? Where are errors being introduced? And we're using technology to solve that.
Yeah, well, and the point of finding those areas where there's duplicate data entry, I mean, we see it all the time, like especially as people come on the system.
Yeah.
I would have thought that it wouldn't be a surprising thing at this point for how long, we've kind of had some of these tools. But I talk to people basically every week that are doing some sort of manual conversion, whether it's from the work order to typing up a logbook entry, or like going through the whole work order process with parts and the costs, and then they go and type up an invoice, and they're doing these manual calculations. And it's just getting people to see, hey, if you can follow this whole process through one single stream of workflow and let these systems do their work, when you actually go to export those pieces, it should be instant. It shouldn't be something that you're now like recreating all of that data somewhere else. Like it should flow instantly.
Sure.
And like, what have you noticed about like trying to get that message out to the industry?
Yeah, I think, in some cases it can be a little bit difficult, and a lot of the customers that we talk to, they may have been kind of doing the same process for the last 10, 20, 30 years, right? And I think that there's, it's really our what we always say is like our biggest obstacle in selling is just change. Getting people to really take a look at their processes and say, okay, this may be a little painful for a couple of months. Like change is usually not always that easy. We try and make it as easy as possible, but it's a change, right? And so, I think it's making people comfortable that, when you go through this process, it might be a little bit painful at times. There might be some obstacles that you have to get over, but after the fact, you're going to be in a much better place. And yeah, it may have taken a couple months to get used to it, get your team up to speed, kind of, work through things like settings and workflows and, kind of just normal changes to your operation. Once you're on the other side of it, everybody is typically much better off than when they started the process, but it's just making them comfortable to do that.
How did you take what you learned from the last company that we were at and kind of take some of that same ethos and like apply it to this change, right? Because like to understand that it is a big change and it's going to be a transition and you have to guide people through that. I think that's a critical piece to actually getting it done right, even though
Sure.
there will be painful moments. So, what are some of those lessons that you kind of brought from your, I don't know, almost 15 years of doing this? Like, how have you brought that into what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't necessarily changed all that much. I would say that, in some places with the technology that's available today, things like making a change from one system to another, there's certain pieces of that are much more
Yeah.
streamlined and easy than they were 15, 20 years ago at this point. So, technology plays a part in it. I think, one key thing is really setting expectations with customers about what that process looks like, and really, having an open flow of communication with them throughout that journey. I think that that's really, one of the, and I've purchased many other, software platforms and, outside of the industry, but, general business software or CRMs or whatever. And I think sometimes, they oversell you on how simple it's going to be and what the process looks like. And I think if you were to ask a lot of people out there that have implemented software, a lot of people have had failures where something was either, they purchased it, it never got implemented, or it got implemented in kind of a half baked way. And I think part of that, I think it's a two-way street. Like, one is the service provider needs to be there and, communicate what that process looks like and help them along the way. I think from the purchaser standpoint, they also need to be fully committed and, provide the right resources and, commit the right time for their team to get trained on it, really understand like the implications on their, to their business. And if those two things come together, that's really where you see like the most successful implementations where, it happens quickly, it happens successfully, where they're using and adopting, a lot of the functionality inside of the system. And when they look back, they say, that we're in a way better spot than we were, prior to implementation.
Yeah, and a couple things on that front that I see from the customers who do successful migrations. It's a few stages. It's like getting it ready beforehand, doing the assessment, and then when you roll it out, like those are pretty critical. And then even the after support, like after you go
Sure.
live. So we're actually putting out a podcast with one of our customers that explained his process, but he's done a bunch of ERP implementations in other industries before. So he shared a lot of what he did to lay it out in terms of, all right, assessing what are your actual challenges? What are those actual impacts? Are they even worth it to address and fix? And then once you do, you can assess what solutions are actually going to solve that. And then when you go live, actually map out what those workflows are going to look like. Make sure you give your team the tools, like in our case for tablets or laptops. And then he literally got a rolling cart and a laptop the day they went live with it, put it in the middle of the shop floor. So that way, as technicians had questions, he could physically be present to answer questions, help them out, kind of a train the trainer. And then
Yeah.
if they had other questions, he'd build them and then get with us and we could work through it that way. So it's almost like map it out and then have those expectations and the processes in place for when you go live. And I asked about 15 other customers about this too. And each one that I noticed is humming along nicely had some sort of similar process.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, that's my little 2 cents there. So we're just keeping these short and sweet, but for NBAA, yeah, you'll be there. You're going to be
Yeah.
at booth West Hall 2629. Anything you want to mention leading up to NBAA?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited about the show. BASE has always been a great show for business aviation and for our company. So we'll have a great team there representing, each one of our different business units. So if you want to stop by, say hello. If you're interested in any of our different products or services, be happy to talk to you there. We'll also be hosting a happy hour. I believe it's on Tuesday afternoon, evening at the JSSI booth. So everybody's welcome to swing by and say hello. And yeah, we look forward to seeing everybody there.
Nice. All right, and then I'll throw your LinkedIn profile in the show notes and everything. And yep, EBIS will be at the Tronair booth, West Hall 2621. So I guess we're almost neighbors at the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up?
No, nothing in particular. I think, if you're going to be at the show, stop by. If you're not going to be at the show, go check out jetsupport.com. We have a lot of info about all of our products. If you want to reach out, you have questions, want to see a demo, anything that you need, reach out. I'd be happy to help.
Well, it was fantastic meeting you, Greg. It was so nice to finally connect.
Yes.
I hope you have a wonderful day. All right. See ya.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem.